In our hunt for perfection, motorcycles have turned into specialist tools. If you like cornering, you need a sports bike. For daily use, here is a naked. For a holiday to go out with your girlfriend, you need a cruiser. And if you want to wander off into the unexplored bits, you'll need an adventure bike.
Now these specialists are getting easier to ride and a lot more versatile, but they are still pretty intimidating and a pain in the you know what, especially when you take them out of their comfort zone. Which is why manufacturers have realized that it's important to have motorcycles that are easier to ride, more fun and a lot less intimidating. And in this space, one motorcycle has really shaken things up. Yeah, it is Ducati Scrambler, a fascinating mix of modern and retro, of being useful and fun. And we are going to tell you what makes it hot and not.
Collectively, Planet Earth has agreed that the Ducati Scrambler is gorgeous. It's retro, clearly, but vitally modern too. So if you disagree, head back to Mars or Venus or wherever. But there are other reasons as well that make this bike incredibly exciting.
Now this is a fairly common sight on Indian roads, the KTM 390 Duke, and it's considered as a small sports bike, right? And well, over here we have the Scrambler to compare the size. Now when you think of an 800cc motorcycle, you think of it as a hulking, big, heavy thing, but here you go. The tank on the Scrambler sits lower, the rider's seat is lower, and you have an optional seat that drops the seat height to 770mm. It's a flat seat, so good for the pillion as well, and overall it just feels compact and tight, and that just makes it so beautiful.
So even for the daily commute to work, the Scrambler will be a willing companion. With those wide and upright handlebars, you just need a light nudge to turn. And it can turn around in tight areas as well.
Now this all-rounder proved to be quite at home in the city, can wriggle through traffic, feels really light on its feet. And actually it feels quite light, 186 kilos. It doesn't feel that much, more like 160 kgs from the saddle, and that makes a big difference as well when you hit a set of twisties. I know, this is a laid-back retro machine, not for corner carving, but this motorcycle does have quite a bit of Ducati in it.
Corner after corner, the Scrambler surprised with its composure and willingness. Yes, the rear suspension felt a bit soft when flicking quickly through corners. And despite the block pattern on those Pirellis, the grip on offer was astounding. It's sharp enough and fast enough through the corners that you'd start thinking about knee downs. Easily. Clearly, Ducati hasn't skimped on this motorcycle.
So the Scrambler is the most affordable motorcycle that we are getting from Bologna, but do not think of it as a motorcycle that has cut corners. Everything on it is well detailed and feels really well built. Take a look.
Now this isn't a reskinned Monster 796. It has an all-new trellis frame which is more compact and lower. It has Brembo monoblock calipers. That's superbike stuff. And of course there's ABS. It has new longer stroke upside down forks and a new cast alloy swing arm with a side mounted monoshock. And the chunky Pirelli on-off-road tires are happy to wander. The quality and attention to detail is fantastic. And in the modern vein, did you notice the LED daytime running lights? And there's also a USB port under the seat. The instrument cluster is a neat and compact LCD unit, but it is a bit short on information. In terms of skimping, you could say that only the brake lever is reach adjustable and that the fast flash switch looks a bit flimsy, but that's it. By and large, this motorcycle is all new and really well done.
Okay, I know the 803cc air and oil cooled engine has been carried over from the Monster 796 and 795, but it has been retuned extensively for the Scrambler to make it more usable, and it's also an advantage because it's not liquid cooled, so it's simpler and lighter.
Yes, the new retuned engine loses out on top and back, which you expect from Ducatis. But for the record, the Scrambler has been cast as a separate family. But don't worry, you've still got 75 bhp of power from the engine, which is more than enough to keep you engaged. And it creates a great mechanical connect with the rider, so charging out of corners is a lot of fun. Cruising down the highway between 90 and 120 kph, the L-Twin's pulse and its calm nature are just incredibly addictive. But don't worry, you can go much faster. Hitting 160 kph is no problem, but that will bring you to your destination earlier or to the end of the road.
So it can handle long trips on the highway, but what's really cool is that the journey doesn't have to stop when the tarmac does.
Yes sir! Those tires, the compact dimensions, its reasonable weight and low saddle height means that new riders could probably take the Scrambler further than they would ever dare to on entry-level adventure bikes. Incredibly, the suspension can soak up a lot of the rough stuff, but it still does crash every now and then. My worry was for the alloy rims. But if you plan to do this often, you could go for the urban enduro variant of the Scrambler that comes with spoke rims. But even this variant, the Icon, was lots of fun off-road and was game for a bit of trail riding as well.
So the Scrambler is impressive, but it has its share of shortcomings, some of which can be crippling. First, we'll talk about where it takes a hit on the comfort front.
There are three areas that make the rider's life miserable. First, the seat. It is just too soft. Even short rides in the city will be painful, and after a day in the saddle, you'll scream. Then there is the suspension. At low speeds in the city, it just feels a bit too firm. Third, the seating position on the Icon is too upright. So long stints on the highway with the wind blowing at you will tire you out pretty quickly. But luckily that can easily be fixed by opting for one of the other variants or grabbing a handlebar from the full throttle or the urban enduro.
Now this is going to be a big issue for those who have it, the size of the Scrambler. For somebody like me who's 5'6", it's fantastic. But I'm going to call in my colleague now, Arpit, who's almost 6 feet. And as you'll see, the Scrambler is, well, a bit of a squeeze in this case, especially on the lower half where you have slightly aggressive foot pegs and the bike's kind of tight. The next bit of disappointment is with the engine. We weren't expecting hard-hitting performance like other Ducatis, but we were expecting it to be really quite at home in the city. But in Indian traffic, sitting below 2000 RPM, in fact under 2500 RPM, can be a little annoying because you get that L-twin shudder at those speeds. So if you are looking at spending a lot of time in the city, keep that in mind.
And you can expect the heat from the rear cylinder to warm your legs on cold nights and toast them on hot days. But I don't think you'll get boiled altogether. Also, its fuel efficiency in the region of 20 kilometers per litre is not bad at all for an 800cc motorcycle. And with its 13.5 litre fuel tank, you'll get decent range as well. So the Scrambler has its shortcomings, and you do wonder whether this jack of all trades is really worth the serious sum of 8 lakh rupees. You could get more exciting bikes for that money. And sure, the Scrambler isn't as fast, sharp or as plush as them, but it wows you nonetheless by opening up what can be done by anyone on just one motorcycle. And because of that, it is a winner in our books.